Hello, everybody. It's Kristina Dennis, the Transformational Self-Empowerment Master. And I'm going to try to feel like my face looks crooked. Oh, well. Or I'm leaning. Maybe I'm leaning. Who knows? All right. Going to focus. Focus, Christy. I wanted to come in and talk about cultivating the positive, because I talk a lot about thinking positive thoughts is not enough, or what I consider the starting line to be actually going through some of the things that have affected us in our past. And what transformational self-empowerment has been designed to do is to actually bring us into a place where we have that ability to change within ourselves, not by ourselves, but within ourselves with other people's help, that we use all the resources that are available to us. But so many of us start with something that's like more like -20 rather than just a beginning line. You know, we have things that we have to clean up and we have things that we have to address. But I talked last week about the brain chemistry, about the neural pathways and the neurons that fire together, wire together, and how we are so geared toward negative bias to keep us alive. Anybody, and you just times that by how many millions if you've been through trauma, which tend to be my people. I've been through trauma, and I tend to want to be around those of us who've survived, and us warriors, and those of us who are seeking truth and want to change within ourselves and are willing to continue to do so in the most honest and authentic way we can. And those tend to be my people. And I love working with the people that I've gotten to work with, and I love doing recovery with the people I've gotten to do recovery with, and just how lucky I feel that some of the things that were so difficult for me brought me to some of the best places with the best people possible. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about our responsibility for cultivating positive. Last week I talked about, negative bias. I talked about taking time to think of the good things that have happened, taking time to that actual input, that 20 seconds of reflecting on something that happened, during your day, during my day, that was really positive, and the work that it takes to do that. Being driven is okay, as long as you're not the horse being whipped to death. It's okay to have, a desire to do better, and it's okay to have a burning desire to be a better person or be more of what you were meant to be on this earth. It's okay to have all those thoughts, but it's not okay to do it at the cost of your own health, or at the cost of somebody else's health, or the cost of anybody else's peace, including your own. And so if there was one thing I would say that I've learned in the last 3 to 4 years, they say in the last 5 years, if you're doing some kind of self-evaluation, it's the fact that I've realized that if I had spoken a little nicer to myself, if I, in some cases, and if I understood that things were going to be okay, that whatever was presented to me, that I was going to get through. I can look at things that are happening today that I suffered endless worry for, 3 or 4 years ago. And some of that was genuine grief. Thank goodness I was in program. Thank goodness I was around people that allowed me to have that depression and that heartbreak as my family was splitting up. And, my son's father wanted to have custody of him, and just all of that yuck. And I know some of you are catching this and don't really know me, but that's kind of what started this new transformational self-empowerment 5 years ago, was like I had, been in a program of recovery from alcohol, from codependent behaviors, from all kinds of things, and was, doing it right. And at 7 years sober, I had a son, and he was diagnosed with autism. And it was not the pretty kind of like, oh, eventually he'll grow out of it autism. It was the ugly kind. All autism is ugly. I don't mean to say that it isn't, but it's also beautiful. Please, anybody who wants to say that I agree. My son is the most beautiful thing in the world to me. But it was hard, and it was really hard to get through that fear and to come to this new lesson of understanding that I'm going to be okay, and he's going to be okay. And I can see where the things that were tearing me apart 3 to 4 years ago, these truths that I was still holding on to from my past, needed to go. And part of me being able to let them go was that I was able to replace them with other things, with more positive practices. And so that's what I mean by cultivating the positive. I'm lucky to be a prolific writer. I like to write. I've always written. I've written since I was 10, 12, 13. I have journals scoping all the way back to the 1980s, well, 82, 83. And I think it's like super cool that I have that that willingness to do that. But if you don't do that, if you aren't in a place where you write, I hope that you'll start, even if it's just with a little paragraph, because what writing has done for me is that it has allowed me to look back and see all of the times that things worked out when I'm afraid, to do kind of a fear inventory and to see like all the times that what I thought was really awful. And mind you, the grief that I was feeling when my son was struggling in public school and pulling his hair out because he was splitting his time between two homes, and the stress, it was awful. And I was afraid, and I'm so grateful that people didn't shame me for having those feelings or tell me it was all going to work out. They just sat with me and honored me and allowed me to have that, which I think is super important for anybody. But now fast forward 2 years and realize that that awful period where I had to go to school every single day and, fight for his right to have a safe environment and feel safe, and that he was under tremendous stress and something needed to be changed, put him in a private school. That a year, like just barely over a year, he is walking himself to his bus from my car without needing somebody guiding him. He's getting dressed on his own. He's, helping me make his own breakfast. It's amazing. And that teaches me also, again, so the environment I put myself in is just as important, right? I fight for his environment and I need to make sure I'm fighting for mine. So cultivating the positive, part of that is your environment. Part of that is journaling so that you have access to where you are and not censoring yourself in any case. Because if I write as if no one will ever read it, including myself, I write, just stream of consciousness. Sometimes it's just spewing. Sometimes it's actual, thought processes that help me get to where I need to get to. I usually write a letter to God. That's been my go-to for journaling, and it's been helping me for years and years to feel as if I'm speaking to him directly, him, her, whoever you want to call. I happen to use him and the word God because that works for me. Writing to him and looking at all the positives that came out of the negatives when I'm able to go back. The other thing is taking the moments in the day, no matter what it looks like, for just a few seconds to try to catch things that I'm going to be grateful for or happy for. And I do this for two reasons. One, because I want to stay in my body. It's very easy for me to escape and start thinking and future tripping and trying to figure out what I have to do next or what's important, or to stay really, really busy doing laundry and cleaning the windowsills, because somebody's going to come over and inspect them tomorrow. And God forbid, there might be a leaf in one of the windowsills. That's where I can go when I want to avoid or distract myself. So being able to stop and look at the small little things and say, okay, that's super important, helps me get to a place where I start looking for those small little things the next day and then the next day. And I start seeing God everywhere and humanity everywhere and goodness everywhere. So I'm trying to train my brain and my mind and my nervous system to pick up those clues and to pick up that information and not be so focused on the negative. So let me tie that all the way back to the rant about 3 years ago. What helped me was not feeling like I was supposed to be over what I was going through. What helped me was to not shame myself for having the feelings, to have people around me, and you know who you are, to have people around me just say, of course you feel that way, and I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through that, and this is so scary, and how frustrating, and just really validate and be safe to share anything with. But also tell me the truth. If I was going to go start wrecking things that were working in my life because I was afraid to have them, i.e. my relationship with a new person, the idea of replacing all that stuff with some positive And just slowly doing that every day, just slowly coming back to what can I be happy about? Where can I see that things worked? How can I ruminate on that positive? How can I enjoy it? How can I really take it in? And, some days I did better and some days I didn't. But what happened through doing that practice, one, letting myself have the feelings I was going to have, having the trauma, walking through the trauma, figuring out, through a professional, through support groups, through good friends that didn't shame me, what was this new function, this new trauma, or this new sadness or fear coming up? What was today's fear and what was stuff that I was bringing in from the past? And all this takes time. I mean, we don't just do it overnight, but you can today think of things that you are happy to see. Someone talked about, and I loved this, so I want to share it, about how they do their gratitude. And they have 3 things that they're grateful for. And this is how they do it in order to bring up things in the past so they can see where things worked really well, how they can manage today, and what they can look for in the future. And the first thing they do is they are write down that they're grateful for a person. And it's not just, for me, it would be Kelly. He's who I'm grateful for, or Billy, or you, Rebecca, or anybody. I'm grateful for them, and all that's really great. But also thinking about all the heroes from your history. So I could think about all the times that God really was there taking care of me. So if I was writing it today, I'd say I'm grateful for Mrs. Robertson, because she was my DECA teacher in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And she helped me cultivate some of the business skills and reflected back to me that I was a talented, individual when I wasn't getting that from anyone at home. And I wasn't able to manage, I didn't have any input that was necessarily positive. She was able to do that. Joan Robertson, I still remember her. And so I could think about that, and I can see, oh gosh, when I was 16 years old, God was standing there, making sure that this person showed up in my life, who helped me get this job, who helped me see that I had a talent in this area. Therefore, I could support myself, or I could go further in my 20s career-wise than maybe I would have if she hadn't been there. Then probably I would have, than if she hadn't been there. So think about her, and then think about something I'm grateful for today. Today I'm really grateful for my health. The treadmill I have in my living room, so I could do my 4 miles this morning. Grateful for my body, that I'm able to actually walk that 4 miles. And then to think of something that's really small, so that I can look for those good things to be grateful for and positive about. So like, I'm grateful for these earrings because they're very pretty. And I think they make my, jawline look small. I don't know exactly, but I knew I could put them on and I'd be really happy about that. I'm happy about my lip gloss. I love this pink color. I'll be happy about, when I go out, I'm going to look for something in nature that I can be happy about, so that I start training my brain to look for those things for the rest of the day. And then tomorrow morning when I get up and I write this out, what can I look for tomorrow that will make me happy? Who can I be grateful for that was there for me? Who can I be grateful for that showed up for me? Where can I see in my history where God was always there taking care of me? And, what I'm grateful for today, based on like where I think I want to be, and, where I want my family to be. And that can also be another person too. It's a freebie. It's whatever you want to be grateful for. It's the thing that comes up when somebody says, what are you grateful for? And you think about it. And then, that third lens that I want to look at my day with, about what is minute or insignificant in, my future, but it's going to make me happy today. And so that's all I wanted to share. It's a long video for all that, but I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you enjoy watching the replay for everybody who couldn't make it. And as always, you are welcome to private message me or send information out on this chat room about what you'd like to talk about. And if you want to share this or invite anybody else to become part of this group, please feel free to, because our tribe only gets better with different people involved. And aren't we all kind of the same anyway? Those of us who showed up here wanted to learn and want to do better for ourselves, and we deserve it. All right. Hope you have a good day. Talk to you later.